Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes.
Hello again, everyone. Glad you could join us for another episode of the Team Engagement Podcast. I'm very excited to welcome my good friend, Seth Saunders. He is president of Zion HealthShare out of St. George, Utah. So thanks so much, Seth, for taking time to join me on the podcast again today. I know you've been on before, and I'm excited to hear some answers of the new questions that we're asking.
Yeah.
But before we get to the questions, tell the audience a little bit about Zion HealthShare.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sean. I'm glad to be back in the new year and excited for what you have got going on this year. And it's an honor to be part of this. So thank you for this. Well, Zion HealthShare, really what we are is we're a health share community. We are a community of like-minded people that members that really care and want control of healthcare. And so we're a unique alternative to traditional health insurance. And by unique, I mean the ability to really pick who you want to go to as your provider, to pay a lot less in cost. There's not the extreme high deductibles and whatnot. And so you're a part of a community that really, when you have situations come up in your life that could really put a hamper on your medical expenses, based on our member guidelines and the approval process, those expenses can be shared into, which again creates such great power and autonomy. And that's one of the things we really, really enjoy, is being able to kind of, in a way, give back to the members in that way. So that's really what Zion HealthShare is.
Oh, I like that. I like the concept of a community. And I like the concept, of course, of saving money on the healthcare as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Multiple wins you got going there. That's great.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, let's get to kind of our standardized questions here for this new year, this new season. But our first question, Seth, how can business leaders know when to pivot?
Ooh, know when to pivot. It's a great question. When I hear that word, I think of a couple of things. One thing that really comes to me is a baseball pitcher when they're on the mound, right? And the only way that they can really execute their best pitches is when they pivot that push-off foot, right? At the right angle, at the right moment. I mean, it's got to be perfect in order for them to really excel. Same thing with a company. You've got to know all the basics. You've got to have the understanding of what you do, how you do it, which then allows you to pivot when needed. To say, we need to emphasize this. We need to focus on development of internal. We need to improve our hiring. We need to take a strategy that says, we've been able to capture this group of people. How do we pivot and take on this group of people? And the best way to do that really is to make sure you have open dialogue, transparent dialogue among your leadership. I'm a firm believer that a title does not necessarily equate to a perfect strategy. Just because a president, a CEO, whomever might have the responsibility and accountability to kind of lead the direction of an organization, oftentimes those pivots may come from those on the front lines. They're on the floor, they may be knocking doors, wherever it is. So to make sure that those pieces of information are able to flow up, and then there's questions and be able to flow back down, is so critical for an organization to be able to pivot. The best companies in the world are the ones you will look back in their history. They knew who they were, what they stood for. It doesn't mean that they never pivoted. They pivoted in a way that allowed them to keep intact who they are, what they're all about.
Oh, I like that. Keeping things intact, but who they are and what they're all about. I really like that. That's a good solid answer. I like that. All right. Well, question number 2. Share with the audience one of your company's core values and how that value will help you make decisions in your business.
Great one. And I would say probably simplicity. We use the core value of simple. And as you know, in healthcare, that's really not the right word to describe healthcare.
Right.
Is simple by any means. And so when we talk about simple, is we take the approach of a highly educated, meaning we take the efforts to educate our members, for example, about what it is, because we are different. We're not just a pay a premium, pay a deductible, all this. I mean, there's more that goes into that. So the more we can help our members understand up front, the more simple it is on the back end. So we are able to help them to say, here's, when we are looking for your bills, here's what we need. We need this up front. Ask this of your provider, of your doctor. Let us know when you've scheduled an appointment. Doing that, again, that empowers our members to really be in charge of their own healthcare. And it keeps it simple. So they know, okay, I know I need to do this, this, and this, and I need to submit this to Zion. I need to make sure I get these itemized bills, for example. In doing that, it takes so much pressure off of them when they're going through the medical issues themselves. We hear it time and time again, especially, for example, in maternity, which we do very, very, we do a wonderful job with. In fact, I want to say that we had delivered 420 babies last year.
Wow.
Unbelievable. But we help them through the entire process. So once they let us know, hey, we're pregnant in this situation, we open up those sharing requests. Now we can help walk them through rather than at the end of it all, they get all these bills and now they're overwhelmed. So one of our really core values is we really try to keep it simple. And again, this is something that we will need to continue to improve on because as you grow, simplicity is not always the easiest thing to maintain. So there may be times we're going to have to pivot actually in some of our processes, maybe in how we do this or technologies we use. But we really, really are strong about keeping it simple, processing things in a timely manner so that our members can live their lives.
Oh, I like that. And it's almost an oxymoronic statement to say that healthcare is going to be simple. And but
Right.
I like that you have that as a company core value because that I can see where that's going to help you make decisions on how are we going to do this or how are we going to approach this with a customer and help them because that's really what it's about. And I love that your
Right.
focus is to keep it simple. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Question number 3. What's one tip that you have to help people hire and find and hire talent?
I think one of the most important things really is to understand what tomorrow looks like for your organization. I think oftentimes we get caught because we have, whether it's replacing somebody or we know we need to hire and all of a sudden the date catches up. So we end up hiring, we end up making the interview process quick. We end up posting and just accepting whatever comes in because we're hiring for the now. I think it's important to hire for the future. And sometimes that's painful. I mean, honestly, it can be painful. But I think when companies get good at that, and that's something we're in transition right now, is how do we get better at that here at Zion? But it really does help take some of the internal pressure on the leadership if they know that they're interviewing for people for tomorrow and that these are the people they can build a future team with. Not how do I fix what's in the past? Not I need to replace somebody, right? It is I need to put somebody in the place in the future. And so I think really thinking about how do I hire for tomorrow? And again, if you're doing that every day, you're going to stay ahead of things, right? And tomorrow may be a week, tomorrow may be a month, tomorrow may be 6 months down the road. Thinking that way, I think, is very, very important. And again, it helps prioritize where you're at when it comes to hiring.
That's a great perspective because it really does change the mindset a little bit on hiring just to replace the person that's imminently leaving or whatever the situation is, but to really think ahead and how can we improve the position or what can we look ahead to that kind of that future thinking. But wow, I like that response a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, question number 4. And how do you in your company, how do you identify and develop strengths within the people?
So this is something we're actually very proactive on right now. And one of the things we made a strategic decision this year was we purchased a LinkedIn learning license for every employee. That's an investment. But as part of that, what we are able to do is our director, our leadership staff, they're able to go in and they can put together an actual career path for every employee on their team. And what we're doing is we're really creating career paths based on position, right? So here's where they are, what can they do? And so as part of the training, we can put our own Zion Health training to how to deal with members and how to best support, how do we pay bills, all that. But then we can also put in some development things that say, okay, how do you transition from being on the phone to managing people on the phone, right? Those kinds of things. And so we are being very, very deliberate. We purposely budgeted, which means we had to make sure we managed our expenses differently, and maybe we took some from somewhere else. But we felt as a leadership team, I felt strongly that this was an important initiative for us because again, not only do you hire for tomorrow, you need to promote for tomorrow. You need to develop for your leaders for tomorrow, right now. And so that's something that I'm really proud of each of the directors at Zion for their understanding and for their willingness to say, yeah, let's lock arms. We're in this together, which again has created kind of a buzz on the floor. Like, wait, you did what? For all of us?
Yeah.
We didn't put out there saying you had to be left-handed and you had to be able to dunk a basketball and you had to be here 9 years to get it. Like, no, we said everybody. We need you as developed as possible. So we're excited about to see the results of that over this next year.
Oh, I love that. That's a great initiative. I'm sure your employees are very excited about that. So well done. That's a great idea. Great idea. All right,
Thank you. Thank
final
you.
question. This is the fun one here. This is where we get to relax a little bit. I know
Oh
those
man.
who are I know it's
Oh,
heart-wrenching
here we go.
stuff. There we go. For those who are watching the video, you know what's going on. I just put my baseball cap on because the last question we talked about baseball for just a little bit to have fun. For those who are just listening to it, first of all, you really ought to watch the video because it's a lot more enjoyable. Now, I don't know if
Yeah, I
you
gotcha.
watch me put a Phillies cap on or not, but anyway, tell us one fun baseball story that you have.
Well, I think it's interesting you asked that. I'll tell you, this will preface it. Last week, I had the opportunity to sit down with the head baseball coach here at Utah Tech University. Phenomenal gentleman. He's just
Nice.
awesome. And I have a couple of my previous Spanish students from up at the high school when I taught who are on the team this year. So I'm excited to really be a part of it. And we want to build a partnership. But what it really did, it got me reflecting on when I really learned the true definition of being happy for the other team. And this really was taught to me in Little League. And I loved baseball. In fact, I will just toot my own horn that in '84, our team here in Utah, we represented the state of Utah and we barely lost being the kind of the West. We lost to Santa Monica, California.
Wow.
And it was, again, I love baseball, but I'll never forget when we lost against Santa Monica. And I was the last strikeout. And so it was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I saw the excitement in this other team from California. And for a split second, there was the upset, right? We were mad, we were whatever. But then our team realized, because we've had good coaches and good parents who really instilled this into us, we got excited, honestly, for them to represent all of us because this was Little League Baseball. I mean, it was so much more than a team. It was so much more than a logo or an NIL deal. It was just at the heart of the fact that you had a bunch of little boys, 9 to 12 years old, who loved the game, who you could go to any little ballpark and see a bunch of bikes, right? Because we all rode our bikes there to play.
Right.
And it was just, so for as sad as we were, and as heart-wrenching as it was, I just never forget, like, now we're all in it. Like we were opponents. Like we were at each other's throat. We wanted to win. But now we're all together. Like we're on the same team because we want you guys to go represent the West really well. And I wish I could say it's perfect throughout my life in all aspects of having that approach as a young kid. I think we get jaded as we get older. But I just realized how I look at my life, and there's times in jobs, for example, I've seen a friend get promoted. Maybe I wanted that. And how I went from that anger and really thought how excited I am for them to be able to go do that job. And it helps, it doesn't necessarily take all the pain away. And so my love for baseball is deep, very, very deep. And it's something that I think there are a lot of life lessons. And it was that just meeting with the coach last week and smelling the locker room and hearing the snap of the mitts, as they were throwing, it just brought some nostalgia, and it really brought back that vivid memory of that experience. And and how it's applied in my life. And so, I'm so glad that you have a focus on baseball because there's just so much you can take from it. Hey, maybe Utah gets a team here. That would be kind of interesting.
I'd sure love to see that. If nothing else, we get the Phillies to come to town a little bit once in a while. So
Yeah, there you go.
We'll
Yep.
see. Yeah, we'll see if that all comes to pass here at one of these points, but it looks like it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, Seth, as always, it's been great to have you on our podcast again. Always enjoy our conversations. How can people find you?
So they can go, I'm on LinkedIn. You can just look up Seth Saunders and Zion HealthShare. And that's really kind of the main place. And if you want to learn more, you go to zionhealthshare.org. And we're there as well. And you can find me through that.
Fantastic. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who takes time to join us on a weekly basis to learn a little bit more about leadership and teams. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day and a great week.
This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. We also invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening or watching. Is your business thriving? Go to tbs-score.com to find out. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.